Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Force Lines Forever. Today I have a 3v3 ladder match here on the most amazing Noxious map generator. Let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the Northwest, also known as the Blue Team, and we'll end with Team 2 in the Southeast, also known as the Red Team. Starting off with Team 1 Southwestern player, we have in Stitch Blue, it is Gava Gava. He's playing as a Cybran for this match. As an 1169 rated to his Northeast. In Royal Blue, it is another Cybran. It is Acid Toha. He is a 1450, again playing as a Cybran. And rounding out Team 1, we have in Amethyst Purple, the Aeon of Drimmer. He is a 2197 rated player, the highest rated player on Team 1 and in the game overall by over 500 points of rating. So a high value target for Team 2 to eliminate and for Team 1 to protect, which means for Team 1 side of the map, they have 0 UBA. Sorry, that's a 1. That's a 0. 2 Cybrans, 1 Aeon, and 0 Seraphim. Take a look at Team 2 Southeastern side. Of course, we will start with the Southwestern side of their lineup. We have in Orange Color Orange, it is the Eco player. He's playing as a 1613 rated player, the highest rated player on Team 2 as an Aeon. In the middle for Team 2 in Chevy Crimson, we have Hannibalo. He is a 1573 rated in Chevy Crimson. And in Ruby Red to his east, going to the southeastern corner, it is Sailor Moon playing as a Cybran. He is a 1535 rated. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have also 0 UEF, SAD 1 Cybran, 1 Aeon, and 1 Seraphim, which means for the entirety of this match, there are no UEF players. Apologies to those loyal to the old Earth Empire. Hopefully you enjoy the game nonetheless. And for these 6 players on the map, let's take a look at the reclaim situation. Currently sitting at... Ooh, that's not great. 2,200 mass. Not per player, but in total, which makes it less than 400 mass per player. Not really worth writing home about. A little bit of reclaim, of course, in the north and the south. Not even reclaim on the edges of the massive river pond thing in the middle of the map. Not even just a wreck or a situate, whatever. There's nothing there, which is also unfortunate because there's also no mexes in the middle of the map for players to fight over. So realistically, we have Team 1's mexes and then Team 2's mexes. That's it. There's no fighting over mexes, at least as of right now. There's no rushing to the middle to grab extra mexes. It's just Team 1 has this side, Team 2 has that side, and it's probably going to be like that for a while. The major mex locations to grab besides the main players, of course, we'll take a look at Team 2 side of the map. There is a Trimex position. We already saw Sailor Moon already grab. And then further westward, there is a Quad Mex here, a Trimex here. And that's pretty much it. And it's close-ish to a Trimex position. You could probably stand there and maybe grab all 3. So you can maybe call that a Trimex. But for the most part, again, it's Team 2's over there, Team 1's over there. And that's really how it's going to be, I think, for the majority of the game. Of course, the major feature of this map is the big giant pond or river or segment of water or whatever in the middle of the map. So lots and lots and lots of Navy for this game. Everybody will probably have to go into Navy. Everybody probably will go into air as well for T2 Torp Bombers or T3, depending if they're Aeon or not. But I don't expect a lot of hover. Maybe we'll see something from the Aeon or Seraphim players, but I don't expect a whole lot of action on the ground side of things. Maybe a transport earlier in the game, but it's probably just going to be heavy boat investment for the majority of the game. We already see facilities established for almost everybody on Team 2. And we see one here, and nothing else for, looks like Team 1's Gava Gava isn't getting into the water. He's going into the water, but just not with his forces yet. And given the fact that the map territory that players have for their actual land situation is super small, T2 destroyers, if, for example, Team 2 were able to conquer Team 1, they should be able to post up right here and shoot into this position for Team 1's most northern player of Drimmer. So there's really no places to hide in the corners of the map or edges of the map for any sort of, safety net. So it'll be very much if Team 1 loses Navy, it might just be game over. If Team 2 loses Navy, it's probably going to be game over. But like I said, we will see how the game progresses and see what ends up happening. We do see a Team 1 Jester inbound from Team 1's. Let's see, that's Gava Gava's moving in. Looks like some interceptors have moved in and immediately eliminates that little Jester. Another one was not deployed. It was a one-time event. I don't think he'll invest anymore in Team 1 Gunship for now. And I don't think anybody's going into T2 air yet for Team 1. It is only 6.5 minutes. Again, lots of pond. And I feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity for the map generator. You could have put so many mexes in the middle to fight over. You could have put lots of reclaim in the middle of the map. Granted, there is some of that now from forces, but I mean, I feel like it's such a missed opportunity to have a reason to go to the middle of the map earlier. Because now I feel like players are just gonna hold up together in their roughly just shoreline positions, build T2, maybe just go straight to T3, who knows, and just really go for that end game of just more boat equals better chance of winning versus trying to take as much territory. Because again, Navy is very fluid. It's very hard to really retain control unless you own the entire section of water. So it's just one of those things where we might not see any big action till later in the game. Team 1 Sao Issel from Team 2's Hannibalo. I forget that they can emerge from the water, surface from the water, so we see their guns opening up on the comm and the facility for Team 1's Acid Toa here, and I don't think he's going to keep it online for long. We do see a Team 1 torp launcher going to be built, but I feel like it's a little bit past the point of no return in terms of the hit point department, so that's never fun. And in terms of Combi-Com action, I highly doubt we will see Combi-Com action in this game. Maybe if a Cybran from each team goes in the water with maybe a torp launcher on board, maybe they'll shoot at one another, maybe. And then if one does teleport or transport themselves on the other side of the map, maybe, but the likelihood is probably very low. I will note the naval facility was denied for Team 1 on the eastern side, and then we do see Team 2 counters Team 1 subs and frigates with their own, so nothing really happening in the naval department as of right now. And again, it's just partly because these players are so compact together that it's really easy to say, hey, I need some reinforcements, or just see that they need reinforcements and immediately just send a couple of units. And that's all it would take. If players were spread out, maybe in this corner, maybe in the middle, maybe in the southeast, it's kind of hard to respond all together, or even two sometimes, to just, hey, somebody's being attacked over here. Oh, okay, I gotta send forces and build forces and have them send over there instead of just, float for 2 seconds and you're already in weapons range. So that's what I said. It's going to be one of those kind of all or nothing games with Navy, because once Navy is won, it's pretty much game over. Maybe by some crazy nonsense, miracle nonsense, somehow if Navy is won by a team, the other team wins. But there's probably be like 1,000 different circumstances to lead up to that, even let that happen. I will note that Defending Force did push in from Team 2's Eco player, and I don't know how far they get. Again, similar situation for Team 2 against Team 1 is there's two players as main facilities right here. Easy to respawn with some engineers. And then we see a little bit of separation for Drimmer over here to the east, but he's going for his own torp launchers now and a sonar system to make sure he's aware of what Team 2 is up to in the pond. We do see another force actually inbound from Drimmer. See a couple of frigates. He's not going after the facilities. He's going after the engineers to slow down production of said units. There is a Vesper online. That is nice to see. Nice little T2 sub earlier in the game for some of that very much harassment in the sub department. But we see engineers reclaiming beacons. You don't see that every day. They're targeting the weaker facility, which I guess is a nice thing to do, but A, they don't take it, and I guess it was upgrading to T2, so I think that's what they were trying to deny at the bare minimum. But they weren't even going after the main one. So it's just early harassment. Another Vesper online for Team 1. Again, trying to go after all the T1 subs. Now that we see T2 Navy starting to be more of a main stage event for Team 2 and Team 1, I feel like there'd be a lot more sub hunters and sub killers, because Sirens have to name theirs differently, of course, because they just do. We could see an early just split for sprint to T3 Navy for Hannibalo because of the very deadly Yassaus. We could see that emphasis, but Team 2, everybody except... Oh, no, we are seeing that for Sailor Moon. For Team 1, everybody has T2 Navy. No T2 Air as of yet, which I feel like might be a blind spot for players in this game just because it is so important to go for T2 Navy independently of everybody, not just have one air player. When you're playing Navy, you got to get those torp bombers online yourself. I will note that two players from Team 2 on the Western side, not really protected by anything. Yeah, you kind of don't expect them to be there, but it's just kind of if Team 1 sees that, they might try to go for that. Because if you can eliminate one or both, that would drop the APM 33 or even 67% if, APM was exactly a 1-to-1 scenario per player, per game, per whatever, which it isn't. But that theoretically would make it a 3v2 to 3v1. That'd be a huge advantage for Team 1, especially this early. But again, 13 minutes, it's nothing too worrisome yet. But it is one of those things where the longer this goes on and Team 1 notices, that probably will be a target for one of them at a bare minimum. T2 Engineering Suite is done for Eco players, so he does have a little bit more hit points to play with, and he can build some more flak and shielding to protect himself, so there is ways around that, but for now, again, just kind of exposed. We do see secondary facility established for acid rebuild, so the T1 goes up to T2. Going for cruisers, which usually you would probably build destroyer first, but with everybody really concentrated over here, it's nice to have a backup facility. And producing AA is always a good idea because Team 2 and Team 1 are probably both going to deploy ASFs and torp bombers. You might as well get AA online sooner and kind of slowly diminish that instead of just waiting until after the waves of bombers come. Which, speaking of which, bombers are starting to be inbound from Team 2. They were dealt with pretty quickly by the interceptors, to be fair, but still. No T2 air as of yet for Team... nope. That's transport, not a upgrade. I think anything else for Team 2? No, and no in the air department. So just T2 air for now. We do see a nice little cruiser. Again, the cruiser weapons can fire on ground/naval units. Is the accuracy great? Absolutely not. But is it lead down range? Also absolutely. We do see some action now coming down the main point of attack or point of engagement. Again, it's pretty much the shortest distance between the two major facilities for both teams. And it's just beacon classes versus beacon classes with the Salem mixed in there from Team 1 and Team 2. But, missile redirected, immediately killed off by Team 2's TMD on board the cruiser. So nice counter there. Again, the missiles can only be redirected so much or, so quickly or so frequently, I should say. Do see a nice little mermaid trying to obfuscate the forces from Team 1, but that gets eliminated. Nice, very unique unit from the Sirens. They always like to be stealthy and sneaky, which sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, as is everything in this game. We do see a couple of forces again diverted over here, but it's not going to be like it was. There just really isn't. Acid might go for torp launcher just to help defend that position, but I think he's just going to stick with his Salem destroyer or cruiser and just call it a day there. And again, in a naval map like this, it's so sad to see no UEF because I love the Neptune. And this is just one of those games where the cast will just have to be sad and then get over it. We do see that Salem's getting bullied by some destroyers, and that engineer just wanted to get reclaimed for its family and just gets immediately wiped out. Again, I will note that the weapons can miss. Not every shot will land because these are all simulated. So the more movement that the Navy does, the more likely that most of the, not most, a few rounds will miss. Of course, if you keep your forces stacked up together with the not UEF, but the Aeon forces, they do have a little bit of spread, a little bit of AoE on those bursts. Now, the forces aren't super stacked on top of one another, but when we get to T3, when those forces can really get stacked up quite nicely, having a lot more AoE is definitely going to hurt forces in the long run for HP. T2, and still T2 for Team 1. Looks like maybe no blitz for T3 yet. And I feel like, again, with everybody in Navy, I mean, you might be able to get away with just saying, okay, 2 of the 3 of us will just still spam out destroyers and cruisers. One of us try to go early battleship and maybe crush the Navy. Or maybe try to crush the facilities at a bare minimum, but I think everybody hasn't made that decision yet. I do like this augmentation of naval forces with some shields from Team One's Drimmer. Again, they are hover, so they can move around the map, unlike the parashield from the UEF. They cannot hover. I always think they can because they're almost the exact same as the Asylum, but they are not. They cannot hover. Missed opportunity there for a little bit more hover for UEF, but UEF are good in other ways, so having a little weakness to, or having a little less versatility is not the end of the world. We do see Vespers just eliminating, just really ripping apart those destroyer and cruiser mix, and again, there's a lot of forces starting to gather over here. There's really no action over here. Look at this. Besides a transport with maybe, what, a couple of those Medusa on board? Yeah, looks like a couple of Medusa, maybe an engineer or two mixed in there, or a Mantis. Maybe that's going to do something to these mexes down here. We do see one has already been killed. Well, there's no reclaim, so maybe it was a Control K upgrade situation. Medusa have landed, and the comm of Hannibal is there. Heals off two of them before they get out of range. T1 PD is going to be built pretty quickly. Medusa will fire at least one volley. And they won't wipe out the mechs. They will get wiped out themselves. A lovely attempt, though. It does wipe out a couple of mass a second from the mass storages next to them, but not really maybe worth the drop. And then Team 2 is going to be aware of that. Team 1's trying that. And they'll think about that a little bit more, which might be a nice distraction. But again, it's just one of those things where, is it worth the constant investment, or is it just, is it going to yield returns? Who knows? Team 1, T3, still no apparent. Oh, there it is. T3 has been spotted by the caster. It's not done yet, but it is progressing. Team 2, no, and no, nothing in the T3 department yet. So Team 1 going T3 a little bit earlier than Team 2, which again, might not be great right now, but if they can keep the pressure and keep them away, that additional upgrade, or that sooner upgrade, will definitely yield more longer range results, of course, with the battleships. And of course, he is Aeon, so he has Tempests, and he has those deadly missile ships, which again, Team 2 has cruiser missiles on board, and of course, the aircraft carriers also have missiles, but again, those Torrents, yeah, they have long range. And speaking of which, T3 has been spotted for Sailor Moon. So I feel like only, second player going for T3 as well for Eco player. Probably not the best idea to do both upgrades at the same time. But again, similar situation. If you can get them done sooner rather than later, and you can keep Team 1 at bay, in this example, it might be better. But it's Team 1 is pretty much holding the middle of the map. Again, very fluid environment. Yeah, it's nice to have the middle. In chess, for example, it's nice to control the middle of the board, but in a situation with a lot of back and forth, literally and figuratively, it's not the end-all be-all, but it does put a little bit more reclaim on Team 2 side of the map, so if Team 2 is focusing on reclaim a little bit more, which they not really are, but they are producing a lot more mass than Team 1, so there is that. So maybe they're just not going to worry about it as much. But naval units cost that a lot of mass, so it might be worth it to start dipping their engineer toes or hover tech into some scooping up of the reclaim. You could also just send SACUs to reclaim. You could also do that. And T3 should be done, is done. Going straight for Omens immediately, no waiting. We do see engineers being built here, trying to get back to base and maybe go for some pigeons to assist with T3 production. ARAS has started onboard Drimmer. He's going for more engineers to probably assist that upgrade. He's producing engineers as well. No T3 and no T3. So 2 of the 3 for Team 2 have T3, and 1 of the 3 for Team 1 has T3, which is nice to do that instead of it being 2 for Team 1 and 1 for Team 2. That's always a tongue twister for me for some reason, because the numbers don't add up. They don't make sense. But Omen is done. So even though Drimmer produced the tech upgrade first, Team 2 produces their first battleship first, or the first battleship first, I should say. And it should be started soon. Oh, and he's just doing full spam for frigates, for engineers, for destroyers, depending if they're T1 or T2. I highly doubt these are going to be all T3. Looks like they're all T1s. So yeah, definitely just going to spam out the frigates. And there's just being a lot of hit points for shots randomly to be, soaking up from Team Two's fleet. So it isn't a strategy to have that, just to have, when it's more of a not microed force to just randomly shoot into structures. Is he? Oh, there was just a flying unit. I thought it was a ground unit. I was going to say, why is there just a ground unit over here? But just an interceptor flying over top from Sailor Moon. No T3 air yet from Team 2. Still T2 air, T2 air now. So 2 out of the 3 have T2 air. Team 1, no T2 air at all. T2 land, we did know about that from the asylums, but no air, which I find that to be a missed opportunity, especially for the, even if it's just torp bombers. That's such a useful unit to have, especially in the naval engagement. Because if you build up enough, you can really blitz down a battleship, a decent amount of cruisers, just something. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's a missed opportunity. Maybe Team 1 will go for it sooner rather than later, but we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. And we do see the switch for Hannibal. So while the other 2 players on Team 2 are producing T3 tech, he's not going for it now. So again, they're kind of just trading off who's going for it. There's probably a Discord call or something going on, because really no communication from anybody in this game besides just a couple of pings, and that's pretty much about it. So wouldn't be surprised. Again, when you're playing a ladder match, especially this high rated, the likelihood that you're in a Discord call or something is pretty high. Not guaranteed, but it's pretty high. But lots of destroyers just bullying these omens. That's a bad omen for Team 2. There's the joke of the day there. It's in my programming. Ooh, so he doesn't go for battleship. He goes for longer range units. The Torrent class missile ship online for Team 1. He does have an omen. I didn't see that. But he went for it second, which, again, long range. If the naval forces from Team 2 don't move a whole lot, it's better. But there is TMD on the battleship, so it's not an easy win for just one Torrent class. If there's 3 or 4 or 8 or 12, it's kind of a different situation to be in. And we see the missile ship, it's going after the omen pretty much exclusively. There's hidden some of the destroyers, and this looks like it's another omen. There's another Torrent and another omen off the assembly line. So realistically, I mean, Dreamer's pumping out both units pretty much simultaneously, which maybe he's swapping, omens and then torrents and then omens and then torrents. But a lot of that longer range tech is really going to start hurting the more, not groupy fighting style of naval combat, but just they're very much like consolidated. Again, look, even over here we see just a ton of Salem's just not necessarily on top of one of them, but they're in such a small little area. That's kind of just how naval engagements go. You just put a bunch of units and then just throw them at somebody and see what sticks. But Team 2, they have to go after the Torrents. They have to push in, but then they're met with all of these, destroyers, and it's just not going to go well. The battleships are they're best at range. When you're able to shoot at somebody or shoot at something without them shooting back at you, that's free damage. That's essentially infinite damage without taking your own damage. So moving into range, not good, but then you need to go for the Torrents, which, again, same situation. They're firing, within range, and the omens or whatever else can't fire back at them. So it's just kind of a, will they, won't they, kind of a rock and a hard place, kind of Sixes scenario where, if you push in, you take damage, but if you don't push in, you'll still take damage. I would argue that the missiles, there is TMD, I think, on board every battleship in the game, so if you group enough of them together, maybe, but then if you group them too much together, then there's the whole, AoE spread on, like, the Omen. It's just such a back and forth, which is part of the reason I think I like Navy so much, just because it is not necessarily a slower part of the game, but there's a little bit more than just make big boat go kind of thing. We do see a couple of aircraft carriers not making an appearance. They don't have TMD, which I feel like is kind of weird. You would think the aircraft carriers would have TMD. Ooh, okay, now so we see some Torrents not making an appearance. For Eco Player, 30 minutes in. Team 1, you can do similar things? Not yet. The only naval experimental in the game, at least in this match, because UEF isn't in the game. See, now we see the destroyers wanting to move in range of the battleships, but, you know, they're just taking more shots from all the other battleships behind them, and it's just, again, it's kind of a, back and forth of moving into range, not moving in the range, moving in the range, not moving in the range. And the torp bombers come in. They do help out a little bit to go after a couple of the frontline omens. These should be the main targets of Team 2. They should be going after the torrents. They should be going after the cruisers. They should be going after the annoying units and leave the more brawly units that just fire at one another. And I think another reason I like naval combat the best is because I really enjoy space combat and those kind of games, and so this is pretty much the closest thing to it. So I think that's probably why I lean towards Navy just a little bit more. No, don't get me wrong, I like air and I like land, but I think naval is probably is definitely my favorite for sure. There is the T for the Tempest is online, and it has really good range. I don't know if it has better range than the Torrent, which it does not. So the Torrent still has better range, and I will note that there is no TMD on the Tempest, so they are very susceptible to missiles. There actually is a good counter to Tempest, is just throw a bunch of missiles at it, which, again, Tempest do that. So it's another reason you have to keep naval units moving in, naval combat, is because they just have, they're trying to get susceptible to stuff that shoots at where you are and not where you're going. Artillery shoots at where you're going. Missiles shoot at where you are. And there goes the Tempest shot, doing a decent chunk of damage to that Omen. We do see a decent amount of engineers on the front line scooping up all the wrecks that they can. Team 2 still producing more than Team 1. But in terms of the reclaim, it's actually not as much as I thought. More ahead for Team 1, but it's still a small margin. T3 Navy online for everybody for Team 2. T3 Navy not online for Acid yet. And he's almost done with his Tempest, so it's going to be Tempest Warfare here shortly. And still no T2 air from any. I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. And honestly, when you take a look at the battle kind of, zooming out like this, Team 2 could build up some strat bombers to go for T3 air and just kind of just fly this way and then fly this way, and they avoid all of the everything over here, and they wipe out mexes, they wipe out P-gens, they wipe out maybe a column of Drimmers, somebody just on the, just the actual land of the game. And I feel like that even if they fly this way, I mean, there is more AA coverage over here, to be honest. There's very much lacking on this western side, kind of maybe exploit that. But it's just, I feel like, I mean, yeah, pond, big pond, make boat go. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, that's going to be the main focus and maybe a tunnel vision, but it's such a missed opportunity to not go for even a little bit more air. Even if it's just, not the fighter bombers or, something T2, Corsairs or something. Like, it's such a missed opportunity. And Team 2 really needs to get, maybe some of those cruisers from the Siren faction, some of these Sirens up to get their missile redirect systems, because look at all of the damage those missiles are just laying into those Omens. And of course, with the Tempest being such a big target, oh look, there's another one, and there's another one gonna be built. Team 2 sends that Hathum forward and just gets immediately wrecked by Team 1. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Again, there's no really claiming of territory with Navy. It's just kill everything off and call it a day. And we do see there is a little bit more of that pushing in from Team 2. And again, they probably want to target all of these Torrents that are just stacking up here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them now. 6 of them now. And they fire, I think it's 20 missiles per volley. So it's 120 missiles. That's a lot of missiles. And Team D will get overwhelmed pretty quickly. I think we have to stay on the move. You have to constantly be moving. Never stop moving. It's like a shark. They can't stop moving. You can't stop, won't stop. Then we have 3 Tempests online for Team 2, and they're really laying into those battleships. They do tons of damage per shot. Well, how much damage? Oh, okay, well, you hit too low, so I can't see the exact damage that you do because I forget every single time. I think it's 8,000 damage per shot. So they can really rip apart an Omen pretty quickly, especially if there's 3 of them, soon to be 4 of them, and more underway. We do see, again, more cruisers raining in from Team 2 with the missile tech from Hannibal. And now we see a little bit of just maybe avoiding Drimmer's position because there's just so much firepower. They're going into that weaker side. Again, air is just a missed opportunity. We do see T3 air, so that is the thing. I love to see that. Is that an SMD? That is an SMD. That's probably a good idea. Probably it is a good idea. We see Sailor Moon going for a monkey. That's interesting. Again, send it along this line. Keep it away from Team 1's eyes. Yeah, they have, just one random scout flying over top, which, again, Team 2 deals with pretty quickly, but it kind of gives them Team 1 a little bit more vision. Like, hey, we have some updates going on that side of the map. It kind of somewhat pseudo kind of prevents any sort of surprises. Not prevents, but it lets them be aware of certain things. I will note that I feel like maybe some of these Tempests could just submerge and just hide from all the missiles. Yeah, the missiles would target other units, but I just feel like all of these missiles just doing thousands upon thousands of damage. It's overwhelming Team 2. They had a little bit more momentum going, but all of these torrents, I am surprised that he's not launching his own torrents. I feel like that's such a missed op. Oh, is this? No, that's an Omen, not a torrent. I feel like that's such a missed opportunity to not go for his own torrents. German finishes his experimental. They just lost a T3 and a T4 battleship. They're going to lose a second one here shortly, and now the tides are, I think, slowly starting to turn for Team 1. And again, it comes down to all of this. We do see, is that one submerging? No, that one is dead, so never mind. I guess it is submerging, just not in a good way. And just all of the missile ships, constantly long-range tech in the water is better than no long-range tech in the water. I feel like is going to be the trend for this battle. I'm just so surprised by no air from anybody, especially Team 1, not even T2 air. I mean, they're putting all their eggs in one basket being Navy, but I think for the most part it's working. Granted, Team 2 is gaining a little bit more territory, but again, it's Navy. There's no mexes in the middle of the map. There's reclaim, but there's always going to be reclaim with Navy. And the further they push in, I mean, the more that reclaim does kind of go to Team 1 side of the map, to be fair. And yeah, he's just not going to stop. There are some missiles kind of raining in. Is there an actual missile ship that I just missed, or is it just from all of these cruisers? No, I don't see any missile ships from Team 2, so yeah, it's just from all the cruisers. And I see no aircraft carriers. You could also... no, that's a battleship. No aircraft carriers from Team 2's Hannibal as well, so those also have missiles on board. I am kind of surprised that we haven't seen an ace... actually, not an ace. A Plan B or a... It's not Serenity. Those I keep thinking of Serenity. Those are the artillery, the T3 mobile artillery. I'm trying to think of the name of the silencers. There it is. For the strategic missile submarine. I haven't seen any of those yet. But again, as a reminder, the Seraphim do have naval nukes on board their battleships. Makes them very, very high value targets to be eliminated. But they also have a little bit more versatility. So again, it's just one of those things where, yeah, you can do more things. You'll probably be shot at more, but you can do more things. Oh, those... See, they look like missile ships, but those might just be the redirection from the sirens from Team 2. Yeah, those are just redirection systems. Those aren't actually like missiles from Team 2. That is one way to do it. But again, there's so many missiles raining in that they just can't overwhelm, or they can't deal with all of the overwhelming firepower. And some of the torrents have taken some damage, but not by much. And now, in terms of experimental weaponry, Team 1's up 2-1. Team 2 was up to like 3-0 almost. I'd say 3-1. It's not a great game for experimentals for Team 2. They've lost 4 of them. Team 1, I don't think, has lost any. Okay, scratch that. Cast a curse you a little bit there, Team 1. You finally lost your first one. Bug. There's a bug coming online for Team 1's Drimmer. Again, no air from anybody means that might not be great for anybody on Team 2. But he does have this. So that's a thing. He went for air, just to get some ASFs and some spy planes maybe, but he mainly went for it so that he could produce just engineers out of it and build a nuke, which standing next to one, probably not the best idea. But hey, at least he's helping load it. So there is that. And it's just lots of yellow dots just circling around all of these units, especially the ones over here where you have the missiles being redirected. And again, there is TMD on the Omens, and so you're able to actually deal with the counter missiles from Team 2 pretty effectively. And there are volcanoes on board those things, so they're even better well equipped. They deal with groups of missiles at a time. Oh, sorry, little destroyer, you were sitting next to that battleship. Probably shouldn't have been sitting next to it. But we do see it's a little bit kind of a thinning out of Team 2's naval forces, and Team 1's still just essentially consolidated right here. Yeah, it's mainly Drimmer, but there are battleships over here, and there are some forces not really being produced out of there, just engineers, it looks like. The spam up all the everything. Hey, look at that. We have some Barracudas moving in this way. We have a counter Vespers, and that's just kind of going to be maybe a net zero, maybe net positive slowly for Team 1, just because, again, everything's dying on this side of the map. We do see a little bit of splitting off from Team 2. They're going on to that, weaker side, the less consolidated side for Team 1. And this might force Team 1's Drimmer to kind of push out, but that bug got finished very quickly, I might add. Oof, that's not good for Team 1. Oh, sorry, for Team 2. Team 1 at 41 minutes, I will note, at 1,000 mass. Team 2, 1.6k. So Team 2 is really raking in the cash compared to Team 1, but it's about the same. Oh, and I will note that Monkey Lord did traverse the map, and it's inbound over here, so that number is actually going even further down for Drimmer specifically, because a lot of these mexes were his because they're dead now. But at 41 minutes on the clock, again, nobody has died yet. No Combi-Com action. I highly doubt there's going to be Combi-Com action in this game. Let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game. Of course, if you haven't, because why not at this point? You've already watched 30 plus minutes into this game. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching to this point in the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed. And again, like I said, hopefully you will leave that comment, subscribe, all of the YouTube things that YouTube loves to see, because YouTube uses those to tell people that these videos are worth watching. So yeah, but I do love this from Team 2. He sent a couple of his forces away, specifically Ecoplayer, to assassinate a nice little T3 naval headquarters. Or looks like Gaba Gaba, he's dealing with that with a couple of hives, which is a decent counter, but they might grab that second one. Now the battleships might not be microed as much as they probably should be. He could actually grab this right here. There's a secondary SMD behind it, but that would be able to help the nuke kind of wipe out more of the mass income for Team 2. Speaking of mass income, the Monkey did eliminate this quad mix position. It was eventually defeated by the bug, but not after the massive amount of damage that it did to Team 1's eco. And we do see another Tempest online. Team 2, they did, nope, it looks like they submerged them when I zoom out a little bit farther, but nope. Still using that massive main cannon. It looks like the remaining Omens are retreating. Missed opportunity for that Guardian, but hey, they got the T3 naval headquarters, so that's 1 of 3. There's 2 more to go. Team 1 could still produce experimentals, but no mainline units, no Omens, no missile ships, no nothing. It's just battleship production for Team 2. Still no torrents. Why? What is up with no torrents? Nuke is inbound from Team 2's Apocalypse Nuke launcher. Again, definitely aptly named there. There is an SMD near the frontline naval headquarters, and it protects a decent amount of stuff. If Team 2 did know where the comm was of Gaba Gaba, they could try to snipe. So I say that out of just like, hey, they could probably do that. Did they actually do that? Nope. Was that SMD not? Oh, it wasn't even loaded. I thought it was loaded. Oh, well, there's that. Oh, wipes out the SMD. Doesn't wipe out the other one, but does wipe out a chunk of mexes for Team 1's Gaba Gaba. That's less eco for Team 1 overall. And that western side is weaker and weaker. We do see a Hathum now moving over there, going after more mexes. And again, the main consolidation of power for Team 1 is Drimmer. Well, actually, I should do kind of like this. That's really what he owns. There is a bug inbound. He's using essentially a similar tactic that Sailor Moon did on the edge of the map. This is what Team 1 can see on Team 2's side of the map. They don't know where anything is. Team 2, they see the bug. It is in visual contact range. They haven't seen it yet themselves. There is some AA just passively being built. And it looks like Team 2 has finally spotted it, so Sailor Moon sending some ASFs in. He has a T3 air headquarters, T2 and T3. Wow. So surprisingly enough, Team 2 went almost full T3 air as well. Team 1 looks like one T2 air headquarters. That is it, and that is for Acid. The Bug's going to go after a couple of mexes, wipe out some mass fabs around them. Ooh, an artillery piece that was started. That's not going to live much longer. A little bit unfortunate for Team 2, but Team 1's now aware of that. Ooh, that pigeon's going to explode. And Solar Ripper will stay alive a little bit longer. Shield, not looking good. There's some, are those interceptors? Are those interceptors? Oh, man. Oh, he's going to get it. Bobby shouldn't stand underneath it. Grabs another section of eco for Team 2. That's a little unfortunate. Lots of mass fabs exposed. E-storage goes down. There's another nuke launcher. Oh, please hit the nuke. Please hit the nuke. Please hit the nuke. Oh, please launch the nuke immediately. Oh, don't stay there. Oh, he gets it, and he gets the comm of Team 2's Hannibal. Actually, he controlled Cade, which probably wasn't from the actual bug. It was from the explosion from the nuke. Which that's a nice win for Team 1. Drops the game to a 3v2 in favor of Team 1 for the first time in the game. Somebody is defeated at 45 minutes. The hero bug for Team 1. Doing very... Oh, there is a second nuke that's kind of in range. And is he going to get it? No, I don't think so. Maybe if he went after it. Maybe. But he's not going to get it now. But he did its job. Wiped out an artillery that was being built and a nuke that was built that I didn't even see. That is reclaimed for Team 2 to scoop up, but that is a dead player for Team 2. Nonetheless, that APM will sorely be missed for Team 1. Is that a missile? I think that's just one TML. I think so. I think that's... What? Oh, it's from... Oh. There it is. It's like, why is there just one random missile raining in? And that's because of the Plan B that was built at some point. Maybe transferred over from... Acid, but most likely built by Gava Gava. We do see some Yasels pushing in, so he's not going for missiles in the air, he's going for torpedoes in the water. That is going to, again, help out. It's going to overwhelm the torp defenses on board the Omens. Actually, they don't even have torp defense. Apologies, they only have TMD. I thought you have TMD and manual launch. That's because of the nuke. Speaking of nuke, oh, I keep pushing that button. Caps lock button. Team 1's Plan B is inbound. And Plan A was the bug. Plan B is the nuke, which the nuke will not kill off the battleship, but it will do some damage to all of the everything nearby. Here it comes. Does finish off that Omen. Does finish off a couple of facilities and whatnot, but it weakens the forces at a bare minimum. Looks like the Barracuda is going in for a second round. Wiping out almost about almost the half, a little over a third, I think, for those facilities for Drimmer. But again, Team 1 with the advantage in players. We do see Drimmer's back here in the, well, back in his base, not necessarily next to Pigeons, but he's nearby. He's nearby one. I think that might clip him, but not by much. Gava Gava rebuilding, air facilities being built, SMD being heavily loaded just in case. And there is an SMD. That probably would be a nice target for Team 2 to go after, but so far, no dice. And still, Team 1, they only have 4 Tempest online. Team 2 has 1. The number of battleships, or these experimentals, are going down, but they do have some hover tech mixed in. At least they did at some point. I saw some Zooey. I saw some Aurora running around, but here comes the battleship fleet. It is inbound. Team 1 is pushing in. They sense blood in the water. And a second artillery piece has been started. Again, it is a nice thought. Nuke is inbound from Team 2 now. Counter nuke onto... Looks like they're going to try to nuke the battleships, which... If they stay there, they definitely will die. And looks like the fleet... Oh... The nuke is already... Oh, it's close. It's probably going to grab at least 2 of them, if not all 3 of them. They're splitting up in all different directions, and then they stop moving. And they keep moving again. Well, these 2 Omens are dead. Those 2 battleships are dead. Does it clip the third one? It doesn't. It doesn't even clip that one. Almost kills that off. Kaboom! Because it had some nice veterancy, so it's up to 72,000 instead of the standard 6,000. That still keeps that thing alive just barely. Oof. But again, it does 100% of the damage, even at 1 HP, or even at a 1% HP as well. Donut coming online for Drimmer. But the nuke does slow down a little bit of that aggression from Team 1, so it is what they wanted, but again, there's a lot of Barracudas running around, some Yasaus as well. Team 2 investing in the below the surface of the water tech, which, to be fair, all the missiles, they can't hit stuff in the under the water. They can hit the stuff in the water that's floating, but not anything above the water. They are able to hit the harms. That will scratch. They have a tiny bit of an AoE, but not that big of an AoE. So I don't also think the Barracudas and Yasas will be a little bit faster. Ooh, that's a nice little ground fire on that. Yasa. They're 219,000 mass in climbing. So yeah, I thought the missiles couldn't penetrate the water surface, but I guess they can a little bit. Looks like they really hate those harms. That's for sure. I feel like just lines of TMD would solve that problem for Team 2. Volcanoes, Zappers, those are the two best in the game. You have the Seraphim TMD, and then of course the Buzzkill, which is always just a Buzzkill. Another monkey has been started for Sailor Moon. Artillery has been started for Sailor Moon, rebuilding his mass fab farm to the west. Artillery has been started for Team 2's. Eco Player's almost done with it. Kind of sorted next to his nuke, but not necessarily right next to it. But that fleet is inbound, and Team 1 has a donut, and they have the Tempest and all of the missile ships. And I don't know if it's worth the artillery at this point, because a lot of the firepower for Team 1 is in mobile tech, whether it's the Tempest or the Torrents. And so artillery shooting at stuff that moves is not right. T3 artillery specifically, it's not great. We do see some Torp bombers online. Finally, 50 minutes in, we see some of those make an appearance from Team 1, besides just from Acid. Not going to be a flaw this game, though, for Team 2, even if they do win, because they did lose Hannibalo. And it will not be a game where nobody dies in, because I'm only going to get one of those in my casting career. What is happening with that? Oh, it's dead. Oh, I was like, what is happening with that thing? But it is dead. T3 Naval Headquarters is going down very quickly. And again, TMD would solve that super quickly. Very, very quickly. Dreamer finishes another experimental. It is the donut this time, though. And another Tempest is about to be finished. There's that one. Artillery is done. So if it targets the SMD for Team 1's Dreamer, that would probably work. Okay, first of all, that's not going to work against Monkey, because the Monkey is on land, not in the water. But there goes the headquarters for Team 2's Eco Player. That's one of 3 facilities that need to be destroyed for complete and total T3 annihilation in technology. Please tell me you're going for the SMD. Do not go after the forces. It is not worth the time for the artillery. It's not worth it. Okay, it looks like it's going pretty high. It's not going very... Oh, let's see where that shot goes. No, it's going pretty high. Okay, it's not going for the forces. I was going to say, it should be going for that SMD. That would be a main target. You wipe that out, kill off the T3 Naval Headquarters, and then maybe you target this, because that's a lot of firepower. 5 Torrents with a ton... Sorry, 5 Tempests with a bunch of Torrents. That's a lot of stuff. Lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. Another nuke online, I would assume, for Team 2's Apocalypse. It could be for the naval nuke, though. But... oh, it is the naval nuke. It will wipe out some of the more, exterior stuff at this point. Layer defense. And we have a control... Okay. Oh, no, the explosion from this. Kaboom. Again, nothing really too crazy. They wipe out, looks like a battleship that was there. Maybe that's the aircraft carrier. That looks like the aircraft carrier. But a couple of SACUs in the water. But again, nothing a big deal of it. That other nuke was a little bit more impressive just because it went after the, a Tempest. And it went after a couple of Omens and stuff. But artillery almost done for Team 2. And, most of the time I say artillery great. It does good things long range. But it's just in a game like this where, again, destroyers could easily just sit right here and fire onto that artillery or the nuke. It's just, you put it further back, you put it back here. Yeah, the battleships may be able to clip that. The Torrents definitely will. Nuke is inbound, and I think it's a little too far forward. I mean, yes, they're trying to, maybe say Team One's going to move and whatnot, but this would have been a nice grab there. There's one, two, three. There's so much on top of that. Oh, please hit the donut. Oh, it's not going to hit the donut. It'll be the day when a donut blocks a nuke. It's going to wipe out a couple of torrents. That's something. And a Tempest. So, hey, that's some forces wiped out, but there's still so much over here. There's still some over there, but the trend line is not favoring Team 2, especially with the Monkey Lord now soon to be inbound. Donut is inbound. I have an idea or two what its target's going to be. Either the headquarters or the artillery piece or the nuke. One of those three. Not that. And it's going straight for the nuke / artillery. Eco players nearby. Needs to watch out for the AA. Crash damage is going to be a pain, though. Does it go past? Oh, right on top of it. And everything blows up. One crash damage kills everything. Eagle player did take some damage from that. And he was building a YOLO. He was building a YOLO. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. His artillery and his nuke is gone. Team 2 does have an artillery in the form of Sailor Moon now, but yeah, not doing good. They wiped out this facility. That's something. Not the headquarters, but they wiped out the other one producing stuff. Is this one a T? No, they're all T1s. But like I said, the trend line with 5 Tempests and still more Torrents, it seems very strange to me that Team 2 did not go for their own Torrents. I feel like the kind of a missed opportunity. T3 Navy are both down, and Team 2 recalls. Yeah, it's definitely I think the smart play at that point, just because realistically, there was really no coming back. The Navy was going to be one. Actually was one, you would argue, right about now. Maybe in a minute or so, those Tempests would have moved up. This base would have been eliminated shortly, and then everything else would have been eliminated. It would have probably been over by about the hour mark, but yeah, just not great. That donut definitely hurt Team 2's chances of maybe having some chance to come back. The YOLO was definitely one of those. You probably should have started that when you started the artillery the first time. But, that's neither here nor there. But let me know down in the comments what you felt about the game overall. Thank you so much for watching till this point, to the end of the video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know if you did or not, because you don't have to enjoy it. But anyway, thanks so much for watching to the very end, and I will see all of you in the next one.